What's up, everyone? We're back with Naveen Jain. We are going to be talking about evolution and the microbiome. Naveen, you kind of blew my mind with this. You're talking about how microbes decided to make humans in order to spread themselves across the world, and how this is kind of interesting. Could it be potential that humans make AI to spread AI across the universe?
Yes. So one could argue, in fact, is it the microbes that actually created humans? And even though we may believe that we are creating AI, what if the AI actually created us to spread itself, right? So what if the microbes are actually the AI?
Yeah. Holy cow.
Okay, so you think about it, we all are so proud of being human, right? And what I find really fascinating is that we as humans, we have more foreign cells in our body than human cells. But that's just nothing, right? If you look at from the perspective of how many organisms...
And the number, we're about 40 trillion or so on bacterial, and 30 trillion human.
No, I'm talking about in terms of the number of cells, approximately.
Okay.
But in terms of look at just the quantity of the microorganisms living inside one person. All the humans on this planet Earth, and if we had 5,000 planet Earth, there'd still be less number of humans than the organisms living inside our gut. Think about that for a second. Now, if you look at what makes us who we are, is the genes that are expressed in our body. Our human DNA that we get from our mom and dad only express about 20,000 genes. And the microbes in our gut are producing somewhere between 2 million to 20 million genes. That means at best, we are 1% human, right? And that to me is mind-boggling. But what's really interesting is who really makes the decision? We talk about this free will, that we have this free will. The humans actually make the decision they do. And it's been proven time and time again by the neuroscientists that actually when they look at your brain and they're able to predict before you make a decision, the decision you're going to make. That means somewhere along the lines the decision is getting made. Where could that be?
Before we become conscious of it.
Before we become conscious of it, right? So it's very interesting is that I have this tongue-in-cheek story that you're referring to, that how I believe this could have happened. Even though this is a tongue-in-cheek story, there is tremendous amount of scientific evidence to suggest that is actually what is going on. That means we evolved from these microorganisms, and the microorganisms to some extent are using the humans as a container to spread themselves, right? So, and really now, so let me give you the tongue-in-cheek story about how it could have all started, right?
And so this is on the scale of billions of years versus on the scale of just my lifetime's 80 years.
That's right.
Yeah.
But imagine, so we all know that, we started to see the organisms on planet Earth about 3.5-4 billion years ago. The humans only evolved in the last couple of million years.
Yes.
So how did the humans come to be? So imagine if this was the scenario that happened, that one day all of the organisms got together and say, we're sick and tired of living in this small space in Africa. We want to take over the world. And they all looked at each other. And one of them said, Master, I have an idea. What's your idea? What if we can create something that's bipedal? And trillions of us could live right inside it. All we have to do is keep this thing healthy. We can make it crave any food we want. It's going to run around and find all the food we want for us. And guess what? It's going to go everywhere in the world. It's going to poop everywhere, and it's going to spread us around, and we're going to take over the world. And they decided they created humans. As soon as they created humans...
Was there a step along the way of the reptiles and the fish and the whatnot?
But those are all the trial and errors they went through, oh, how about this and how about that? And say, oh, we finally found the perfect thing that we wanted. And they call that humans, right? And once the humans got created, they start to worry. Just like today we have Elon Musk, smoking weed and talking about how AI is going to take over the world. And if AI really became smarter than human beings, what will happen to us human beings? And we all worried about that. All these organisms had the same feeling. Oh my God, what have we just created? What if someday this human thing becomes smarter than us.
Yeah.
What are we going to do about it? And they all reassemble. They say, Master, what have we done? We created humans. Aren't you worried? Someday they're going to become smarter than us.
They're going to digitize consciousness and just go through the cosmos without us.
Yeah, and what are we going to do about it? What if they destroy us? Master says, oh, don't worry. We took care of that problem on day one. How is it, Master? I'm going to tell you a secret. Inside the human cell, this thing they call mitochondria, they don't remember. It is one of our bacterial brother that's right inside them. It is the one that supplies all the energy to their cell. We talk to it all the time. And anytime they go out of control, we shut the energy factory down, they're dead. Master, that's really brilliant. But what you're still forgetting is they're starting to develop this thing called brain. What are we going to do about the brain part? Master said, that's the first thing we did. Remember, we live all in the gut. We put a direct connection from our gut to their brain.
The vagus nerve.
They call that a vagus nerve. And they thought they're going to name it after Las Vegas, thinking what happens in the gut is going to stay in the gut. They were wrong. What happens in the gut goes everywhere.
Yeah.
In fact, the things that makes them feel good, the serotonin thing, we don't let them produce much of that. 90% of that, we produce it ourselves. In fact, we control their decision making. We control their amygdala, which is all of their mood, emotions, and behavior. We control their prefrontal cortex. We modify their microRNA. But you know what? We're really, really smart. We make them think they are the one who are making the decisions. But like a good leader, that's what all good leaders do. At the end of the day, we are the one who are pulling all the strings sitting here. They're simply the puppet. So sit back, relax. We have taken over the world. And that's how the humans evolved.
That's such a cool story.
But interesting part is, now going back to the science part, if you Google, there is a Nature article that was published about 3 months ago that shows that how microorganisms in our gut control our amygdala, prefrontal cortex, and our brain for their own benefit.
Yeah, wow.
In fact, there is another research paper just came out 2 days ago about mitochondria and microbiome communicating with each other in longevity and in aging. So they're able to essentially control the aging as a microbiome is essentially gets to be imbalanced. They did a study of 1,600 people, 90-year-olds, and they were able to predict which one of them is actually healthy and which one is sick, simply looking at the microbiome, because the microbiome of the people who were healthy was similar to the one they were 30 years old. Right? So the microbiome is the one that works with mitochondria, your energy factory, and essentially keeps us healthy, alive, and young. So
you want to keep that 15 or 25-year-old microbiome as long as possible.
As long as possible. And that means is constantly adjusting what you're feeding them. Because at the end of the day, they only get to what you give them. And they make you crave the food they want, remember?
Yes, and this is, okay, great. This is going to be a good segue into the next section. We'll be talking about the nuance of the microbiome.
Sure.
All right, cool.